Hi everyone, my name is Abhuraj Garakapati. Welcome to my YouTube channel Amazing Abhai.
Don't just hear the story, enter it.
Her mother. In a flashback, it is shown that when everyone sets up in their camps, Azalea visits Kalli's camp. She tells him one of her servants is sick and asks him to accompany her, as she finds the other men too aggressive and intimidating. She considers Kalli a perfect choice, though he is thinking that he needs to train. Later, during dinner, the Duke asks Gadolf if it is true that his training center has won all recent boxing matches. He also asks about the contributions of the apprentice boxers. Gadolf confirms that the apprentices have now become official boxers. Meanwhile, Azalea was getting bored at the dinner table. She whispers something to her father, and then asks Kalli to follow her outside. The two walk through the streets of the city while observing the bustling crowds. Azalea admits she feels suffocated at the dinner and never wanted to come to this place. Kalli realizes that she seems unwell. She shares that her father expects her to find a suitable husband, and she wonders if it is awful to be tied down at such a young age. Kalli, however, questions why his opinion would matter to her. Instead of answering him, Azalea gives him a piece of candy while suggesting he may not have tasted anything like it before. Kalli, who has only eaten fruits as sweets, takes a bite and finds it surprisingly delicious. As he savors the candy, he begins to notice Azalea's beauty, which captivates his eyes. Her charm also draws the attention of others passing by. Amid the crowd, Kalli notices an old woman staring at him intently. The woman approaches them and asks Azalea to let her read her fortune. He refuses, but she insists on hearing her fortune because it sounds interesting. As they walk toward the fortune teller's tent, Azalea mentions that she will ensure they get a discount. The fortune teller begins her reading and predicts that Azalea's life will not be smooth. She finds this intriguing, reasoning that a life identical to others would lack excitement. She then asks about her marriage fortune, believing that fortune-telling often excels in such matters. The fortune teller reveals that her life partner might be someone very close to her, but this love will not be accepted by everyone. Azalea is shocked and left unsure how to respond. The fortune teller then suggests reading Kalli's fortune as well. He initially refuses, but Azalea persuades him by pointing out that it is free. The old woman starts her reading for our boxer, while stating that he comes from a far and unknown place. When he questions her about the place, she admits that she has no clear understanding. Azalea grows curious and asks the fortune teller what she means. The woman describes visions of a chunk of metal in the sky, a carriage without horses, and humans inside a box. Kalli is stunned, unable to comprehend how the old woman knows these things. Kalli is shocked at how the fortune teller knows and sees details about his past. She adds that he possesses extraordinary energy, almost as if a guardian spirit accompanies him on his path. Azalea remarks that perhaps this is why he manages to win every time, which is ideal for a boxer. Kalli dismisses this and calls it a superstitious and tells her that believing in it makes her appear foolish. Azalea, though already aware of this, feels both angry and shocked at the way a slave speaks to her. The fortune teller, however, cannot believe Kalli is a slave, thinking that someone with such energy could never be a slave. Over the next 3 days, Kalli tries to ease Azalea's anger. One day, after leaving the palace, Kalli returns only to find the guards refusing to let him enter. They mock his fragile physique, which puzzles him as he tries to understand why they are provoking him. He doesn't remain silent and demands passage, asking the guards if they have ever experienced the blow of a boxer. One guard, angered, rushes toward him with a large arrow, but Duke Wesley intervenes. The Duke orders the guards to stand aside, declaring Kalli to be a guest and the property of Gadolf. The Duke then begins a casual conversation with Kalli, while expressing his disbelief that such a seemingly fragile young man could win a match against Dorman's boxer. As he places a hand on Kalli's shoulder, he notices the strength in his build, but insists it is insufficient to defeat a veteran boxer. This makes him suspect Kalli is hiding something significant. Before departing, the Duke mentions he will be watching Kalli during the next match. Kalli is left shocked by the Duke's behavior. Back at the slave in boxer's quarters, Kalli immediately resumes his training while using it as a way to clear his mind. For him, training is the best solution to every problem. During a break, his friends ask about his time in the castle, and he tells them it felt suffocating. Soon, their coach gathers all the boxers and informs them that not only Dorman, but other skilled boxers are also training nearby. He advises his students to avoid the match, explaining that the number of participants may already be filled by those who register first. At that, Taurus questions whether it is truly lucky to avoid the match. Nixar confirms. Taurus, however, is determined and asks if Nixar intends to keep them confined to the training ground. He appears ready to fight anyone, but the instructor kicks his guts back, while warning that brash fighters like him are often eliminated quickly in the preliminary rounds. He explains that facing a boxer with 10 victories means going up against someone who has already defeated 10 others. The students gather and Taurus approaches to apologize. He explains that no matter how strong someone is, a single wrong move can lead to their downfall. Then he turns to Kijo, who tries to assure him that he is just fine. Suddenly, the sound of people murmuring about an ogre echoes through the camp. Everyone murmurs that it is Dorman's ogre. While looking ahead, Nixar mentions that Dorman seems to be going all out to bring the ogre there. Even Kijo begin questioning whether ogre is truly human, but their coach reminds them that he is often compared to a monster. Kalli wonders if ogre is really human. To him, ogre resembles an ogre from a fantasy world who is called as the Ogre of Dorman. This ogre, who is a formidable fighter, wins 76 matches in a year. The boxers actively discuss him, with one pondering how such a feat is possible. Kalli speculates he must fight 3 to 4 times daily. Rumors circulate that the ogre can tear someone apart with his bare hands, and his name seems oddly fitting. At that, Kijo, who is apparently terrified, refuses to face him, but the coach reminds him their master believes Dorman sees their boxers as weak, so they might not even get the chance. This ogre feels like a different species compared to them. At that, Kijo reminds Kalli that his fists won't reach the ogres, which makes him speculate that attacking elsewhere seems futile. Kijo finds his reasoning strange, as he remakes, sometimes suspecting he might not be an ordinary human. After a while, everyone is gathered to check match schedule, which is displayed. Baron Dorman meets Baron Gadolf, again, predicting all will surrender before the ogre, but Gadolf trusts the match will decide. At that, Nixar agrees, while warning that provoking could cost him his boxers, and Gadolf assures him he is well aware. He believes that no one is foolish enough to face such a monster. At that, Dorman reflects on the ogre's fame and claims he was trying to honor 3 fighters last time. Nixar is puzzled while suspecting Dorman either killed the fighters. Gadolf hears rumors that 3 fighters had to face the ogre, which was considering it a death sentence for them. Then they turn to the schedule, in which Taurus fights on the first day, while Kalli and Kijo are set for the second. The ogre also fights on the first day against other opponents, who draw pity from Baron Gadolf. The first day arrives, and the Wistery Stadium is packed. The ogre stands opposite a frightened fighter who realizes he is no match and unlikely to survive. The ogre charges like a mass of rock, swift as lightning, driving him aside effortlessly. Baron Dorman recalls instructing the ogre not to damage the pillar, but secretly rejoices while outwardly apologizing to the Duke and offering repairs. Meanwhile, Kalli watches from the side, while pondering why the creature is named ogre. As it hardly resembles a human, the crowd erupts with cries for blood, demanding the fighter's death. Overwhelmed, the fighter surrenders and begs for mercy, but the ogre declares that the spectators want him dead by his hands. The audience appears heartless, and Kalli, shaken, realizes he has never witnessed such a horrifying death in a fight. He likens it to a battle between a man and a beast, but notes the ogre lacks professional skill. Kijo asks if Kalli still considers fighting the monster. Before we move ahead, please take a second to like on this video. A like tells me that you enjoyed this topic. Your support helps Amazing Up High grow naturally, but Kalli doubts the chance will come. Kijo warns him against such thoughts and certain that he would lose. Taurus adds that the ogre fights solely to kill, and the match ends with the ogre brutally slaying the fighter. The wild boar of Gadolf gathers as the competition begins. Taurus competes in the first round, refusing to give up and knocking out his opponent. This becomes the highlight of the day. Kalli, scheduled to fight tomorrow, reflects on his techniques. His thought is interrupted by Azealia, who questions him if he likes boys, which clearly startles him. She explains that most boys can't resist her, but he seems indifferent, so she wonders if he's nervous. She also mentions hearing of fighters dying on the first day, and jokes that he may not see her again. He clarifies that he's not famous like her, so it doesn't matter. Azealia comments on his way with words while attributing it to being a fighter. Then she promises herself as a gift if he wins tomorrow, and Kalli assures her of his victory. The day of the match arrives and the Wistery Stadium fills with spectators. The ring stands ready for the two fighters. Kalli is prepared, while Mike's notices significant physical improvements in his back and shoulder muscles. The fight pairs Caesar, who is a veteran from Vitamin training camp with 21 victories, against Kalli from Gadolf with 1 win months ago. The crowd, unimpressed by Kalli's physique, assumes he is poorly fed and from a humble background. Azealia, who is confident in Kalli, is approached by a man who praises Caesar's reputation while suggesting his victory is certain. Azealia declares her support for Kalli and places a bet. She bets on Kalli and she proposes that she spends time with him if she loses. When asked what she wants if he loses, Azealia demands a ruby necklace she saw in a craft shop. The man finds the bet intriguing, convinced she will lose. As the match begins, Caesar, confident, blames Kalli's master for putting him in this fight. Kalli, clearly irritated, accuses Caesar of talking more than fighting, and prompts the match to start. Caesar, enraged, delivers a powerful right-hand blow while sending Kalli to the ground. Kalli realizes Caesar's iron-like muscles and thick skin require a different strategy than aiming for his jaw. Caesar notes Kalli's skill at dodging and disrupts his movements, landing a heavy punch that floors him. The man who bet with Azealia brags and questions her about the reward, but his words are interrupted when the crowd gasps as Kalli is dodging each punch with efficiency. At that, the nobleman wonders if Kalli is the same fighter who defeated the Doryman man and questions the rumors of his closed-eye strikes. Meanwhile, Azealia watches the match with unwavering calm. The crowd is shocked to see Kalli fighting so well. He wonders if he can knock out his opponent in one shot, or if he needs to stack up damage to break through the muscles. He also questions whether his stamina will last until the end. Overall, our boy is determined and decides to target the opponent's weak points, which are his back and liver. The opponent growls in anger and frustration, and Kalli stares at him while knowing that he cannot miss this opportunity. He delivers a powerful blow to his middle with all his strength while aiming at the rib cage, which takes heavy damage. The punch lands hard while hitting deep into the opponent's ribs and muscles. Meanwhile, Nixar notices the explosive force of the punch and the perfect weight shift. He realizes that the results of Kalli's constant muscle training are now evident. After the punch, Kalli reflects on how he has never delivered such a powerful strike before. This punch isn't based on the opponent's movements, but is an attack fueled by his own full strength. At that, Nixar acknowledges Kalli's growth and feels he must keep pushing to secure the victory. Meanwhile, Azealia and the boy watch the match intently. Kalli feels pain in his fist from the powerful blow, noting that the opponent's thick muscle armor seems to break him apart. Then he punches him again, on his back. This punch is more like a sharp spear piercing through everything. Azealia is thrilled as the fight concludes with Kalli landing a punch to the opponent's face. With another punch on his face, the opponent starts bleeding and collapses to the ground. The match ends with Kalli's victory. He is overjoyed, a feeling that seems impossible to the boy who bet with Azealia. She humorously reminds him about the necklace from their bet. The boy feels it would be less humiliating if Kalli had fought more traditionally. At the same time, Baron Gadolf proudly refers to Kalli as his fighter, someone he has nurtured with care that leave Azealia surprised. Kalli raises his hand in triumph, and Baron foolishly believes that Kalli is dedicating his victory to him out of gratitude. Meanwhile, Kalli also acknowledges that Kalli has become much stronger now. Nixar praises Kalli about giving a very good match, which the public enjoys immensely. Then his instructor throws a cloth at Kalli and tells him that everyone must be impressed by his performance, to which Kalli thanks him. At the same time, he feels intense pain in his fist, and Nixar advises him to soak it in water. The coach reminds him that he still has a long way to go. As Kalli puts his hand in the water, he realizes that how much pain he has been ignoring. Torres comments that his body is still fragile, but acknowledges he has done a great job. Kijo congratulates Kalli and nervously states that he will also win his match. Torres stops him while reprimanding him to stop shaking. The coach asks Kijo if he can punch with the same strength against his opponent. Kyo replies that the noise of the crowd is still ringing in his ears. At the same time, he feels suffocated and suddenly realizes he is losing control. He thinks he might be having a panic attack, which is not surprising given his weak body. Kalli advises him not to overthink and simply use his long arms to strike, just as he did in his last match. He follows the advice and secures victory in the match. He feels ecstatic while Tora finds him annoying, but Kalli is also happy for him. He thanks Kalli for his guidance, acknowledging that it led to his win. He even declares that he must be the best because of his exceptional skills. At that, Kalli thinks that he might have a special talent. Later, Azalea teases Kalli about the nobleman's face turning red and hands trembling. Kalli asks what she would have done if he had lost, but she confidently believed in his victory. She suggests he could now be her bodyguard, to which he replies that she has a big heart and she thanks him. She then asks him to accompany her outside. As they step out of the room, her father spots her and approaches in a hurry. He informs Azalea that some guests are waiting for her. Confused, she learns that the guest is the second son of Count Joseph. This boy turns out to be the same one she made the bet with. He introduces himself as Willem Joseph, the second son of Count Joseph. Azalea immediately realizes that he knows she belongs to a powerless baron family. Meanwhile, the Joseph family holds significant influence in central politics. She reflects on how her father constantly searches for potential grooms for her, finding joy in the process, which annoys her deeply. Willem hands her the ruby necklace which she promised as the reward for their bet, fulfilling his word. The boy remarks that the ruby necklace suits Azalea's red hair, leaving her feeling embarrassed. She acknowledges that he is an honorable person who keeps his promises but admits she feels uneasy accepting it. He asks, despite losing the bet, if she would go for a walk with him. She secretly wants to leave before he finishes his words. He notices her discomfort and nervousness, but Baron Gadult assures him that they will prepare shortly. Shocked by her father's suggestion, Azalea runs off. As she flees, her father stops her and requests she spend some time with the man, pleading for his sake. He mentions that she might discover good qualities in him and explains his wish for her to live in a better place than the Gadult territory. While looking at the pathetic face of his father, she reluctantly agrees to go with him once, while vowing never to see him again. Meanwhile, Kalli stands a few steps away, thinking of Willem as a pathetic gentleman seeking Azalea's attention. Kalli analyzes that Willem owns a training center, but lacks any real boxing knowledge, only seeking immediate gains. He recalls how Willem once sold boxers who were assets of his estate for profit. Willem was confident in his earlier bet with Azalea and suspects a scheme to humiliate him and disgraces Kalli with his words. He declares that Kalli will soon fall and then asks Azalea to join him, which ignites Kalli's. Before we move ahead, please take a second to share on this video. Sharing helps this video reach friends who may also enjoy anime, gaming, travel, cricket, chess, career basics, or personal stories. Your support helps Amazing Abhai grow naturally. Anger. The weather is good, the sun is hot, and Kalli is remembering his past life. Before dozing to sleep, he wonders whether it will be safe to leave Azalea with such a creepy person. He recalls the fights in the ring he has participated in. He was ruthless and arrogant at that time, with no one able to get up after his powerful blows. However, he remembers that cruelty exists in the minds of his opponents. One of them knocks him down using cruel techniques, breaking his fist. After some time he decides to take revenge for his broken fist. He thinks that if he could go back, he would never do so. His sleep is interrupted, and he is happy to realize it is a dream. He understands that he has a second chance because if he had truly gone back, he would have been just as arrogant. A maid comes and asks for his help. She informs him that Willem has lost control after drinking wine, and is now demanding a reward from Azalea for spending a lot of money on the ruby necklace. His demand is insulting while asking her to repay him with her body. She then hits his guts, which knocks the air out from him. As retaliation, he strikes her, while causing her to fall to the ground. At the same time, Kalli rushes towards them, but Willem's guards stop him, while refusing to let him reach their master. He warns them to step aside, or it will not end well for them. One of the guards dismisses him as a low-grade martial artist who only uses his fists for fighting. Next moment, Kalli delivers a huge blow to his eye while shocking the others. One of them immediately runs to call for reinforcements, while the rest try to stop him. He, however, runs to save the helpless Azalea. Upon reaching them, He sees Willan forcing her to repay him for the ruby necklace with her body. She questions whether he feels any shame for his actions, but he continues to hurt her while insisting that she must not resist. Kalli strikes him with a powerful blow while sending him to the ground. Willan is shocked by his strength. Kalli demands to know if he realizes what he is doing. Willan admits his actions while stating that he is only asking for compensation for the expensive necklace. The response enrages Kalli, and with all his might, he lands another blow. He then drags him to a water source, repeatedly dipping his face into the water and pulling him out each time and asking whether he is sober now. The news spreads among the nobles that the second son of Count Joseph has been beaten by a slave. Willan decides to take immediate action to prevent his family from facing ridicule and plans to execute the slave without delay. He also intends to ensure that Baron Aegst's family disappears from the political scene permanently. Upon hearing this, Baron Aegst becomes furious, being unable to imagine anyone daring to harm his daughter. The master informs him that Kalli is being held in the guardhouse and is completely helpless. Gratitude fills him for the slave's bravery in saving his daughter, yet he knows he cannot protect him. Any attempt to do so would lead to the ruin of his own family. Nixar agrees, while believing that such is the fate of a slave. Next moment the door opens and Azelia enters. Her father urges her to rest, but she refuses while insisting that Kalli deserves justice for saving her life twice. She reminds him that even a beast is rewarded for protecting its master. However, he remains firm and assures her that the matter will be handled. At that, Nixar intervenes while reminding her that their hands are tied and no choices remain. While in the Wesley guardhouse, everyone praises Kalli for having the courage to beat a noble. Many consider him a hero. He asks a person nearby about the reason for his imprisonment, and the man reveals that he is a pickpocket. Kalli finds it pathetic. As he sits in the guardhouse, he realizes that once again, he has lost the chance to become a boxer. However, the thought of not saving Azelia fills him with even greater regret. He knows that protecting her was the right choice, no matter the consequences. Finally, the day arrives when he is brought before the courtroom. The judge asks Kalli, who was a slave of the Aegis family, that whether he admits to hurting Joseph. Wieland Joseph stands nearby, along with 4 witnesses and all bearing bandages and visible marks on their faces. They are present, there to testify against Kalli and confirm his crime. He admits his guilt. The people in the court room grow restless while demanding his execution. They call for his head to be cut off and his body to be displayed before the entire city. To Kalli, their words feel meaningless, like mere noise. He wonders if it was truly right for Wieland to harm Azelia without consequence. The judge delivers the verdict while sentencing him to death and asking if he has any objections. At that moment, Duke Wesley enters the courtroom and requests permission to speak. He acknowledges the gravity of Kalli's crime, but reminds everyone that the Harvest Festival is a time of mercy. While addressing Baron Doroman, he clarifies that he is not defending Kalli's innocence, but insists that he should die like a slave. He proposes a fight between Kalli and Ogre, who was a notorious executioner. Turning to Baron Doroman, he confirms that Ogre has carried out executions many times, to which the Baron agrees. The Duke then announces that the match will take place on the last day of the festival for the crowd's entertainment. His cunning words make it clear that the fight itself will be an execution, which will be pitting a fragile man against a beast. He suggests that dying in combat would be an act of mercy. The decision is made and Kalli is left in shock at the thought facing such a monstrous opponent. He requests permission from Count Joseph, which is granted. The Duke, who is satisfied with his plan, believes it to be the perfect compromise for both sides. The Duke is well aware of Kalli's artistic skills and would have bought him if not for the current situation. The judge announces in the courtroom that the execution will be replaced with a match between Kalli and Ogre. Willan continues to threaten him with death, his taunts aimed at provoking anger. He feels delighted by the news of the fight, eager to see Kalli's downfall. Despite the threats, Kalli remains steadfast. He believes that if fate has brought him to this point, then it can also lead him to victory. So, confidence builds within him as he trusts that his strength and determination will guide him through the battle. Kalli is shown to the waiting room, where the guard tells him he will be supporting him in the match, because he has protected the lady. As he listens, people outside are asking the guards to meet him. Soon Kijo and Torres arrive with the instructor. Kijo thanks him for his help and for hitting the man who deserved it. Torres feels happy at the moment since he hates that man. Now he realizes Khalid is a good person, so he asks him not to die and to win the match. Next, Nixar offers him some food to increase his strength during the fight. He also mentions that Ogre is stronger, but believes Kalli can use his skills to fight better. They all wish him good luck. Our boxer then realizes that at least there are people who would be sad if he dies, and that thought is enough for him. Later, as Ilya arrives at the guardhouse where he is waiting, she knocks on the door and he asks why she is there. She responds that she never ignores someone's help. He tells her to take care of her modesty instead of worrying about him, as she has been kidnapped by bandits and caught by the jerk, both of which were very harmful to her. She then asks him to protect her from now on if he really cares. As she steps closer and kisses him, he feels frightened by her actions, but she remains unaware and asks him to promise that he will win the match. He admits that she is making it difficult for him to die even if he wants to. She reassures him that she will be supporting him in the match. Now it is time for the fight with Ogre. Baron Dorman asks him to be cruel and kill Kalli. As this is an execution, Ogre is fully prepared with all his might to face him. On the final day of the Harvest Festival, Ogre stands against our condemned boxer. The guards bring Kalli to the arena, where the crowd eagerly demands his execution. The entire public calls for his death while declaring him a convict and urging the monster to show him what he deserves. Ogre is completely ready while moving closer, as Kalli's restraints are removed. Standing before him, Kalli finds his opponent enormous. He realizes that Ogre does not rely on skill, as his massive physique gives him a natural advantage. Despite this, Kalli prepares himself to fight back. As the battle begins, he delivers a powerful blow, but Ogre is so strong that he hardly feels it. His muscles are so dense that a mere punch from his fist stirs up a sandstorm. He continues to intimidate Kalli while warning him of his impending death. However, our boxer remains composed while realizing that fate is always fair. Ogre may have the advantage of size and strength, but he lacks intelligence. Kalli believes that humans, with their ability to think strategically, can overcome brute force. He understands that skills and tactics can lead to victory, and he is well prepared to use his stiff bones to counter his opponent's strength. Kalli arrives, looking toward Ogre, while everyone believes he has lost his mind and gone crazy. Torres and Kijo are also shocked by his approach. Before we move ahead, please take a second to like on this video. A like tells me that you enjoyed this topic. Your support helps Amazing Up High grow naturally. Baron Dorman questions whether he intends to give up and accept his fate. As both contenders face each other, Ogre delivers a massive blow, but Kalli swings to evade it. He decides to keep swinging continuously while focusing on dodging each attack. Realizing that his earlier hesitation made him vulnerable, he resolves to be quicker and avoid any delays. Despite Ogre's enormous size, his speed surprises Kalli while making the fight even more challenging. As the match continues, the Duke begins to recognize Kalli's extraordinary courage and remarkable skill. He realizes that such abilities could revolutionize boxing. Both fighters engage fiercely, with Kalli constantly dodging rather than delivering a final strike. He patiently gathers the courage needed to land a decisive punch while observing Ogre's movements closely. He understands that if the monster becomes too aggressive, it will make him easier to predict and avoid. The crowd watches in shock as the fight unfolds. Eventually, Kalli strikes Ogre with a powerful punch, while leaving Duke Wesley thrilled at the potential transformation. In boxing, despite his strength, Ogre retaliates with full force, but Kalli counters with precise attacks. He notices that while Ogre possesses immense destructive power, his moves are predictable. Clenching his fist tightly, he delivers a devastating blow that shocks Baron Dorman and stuns the audience while shifting all expectations in Kalli's favor. Kyo and Torres feel overjoyed while witnessing his strategy in action. This time, instead of targeting the brain and neck with heavy blows, Kalli focuses on accumulating damage and fatigue. As the match progresses, Ogre begins to suffer from a lack of oxygen while reducing his muscle strength. However, Kalli makes a critical misjudgment while underestimating his opponent's endurance. Despite being exhausted, Ogre continues to move while surprising Kalli. Although he has drained much of Ogre's stamina, the monster remains dangerous. With renewed power, Ogre strikes with force, leaving Kalli breathless and collapsing to the ground. He realizes that if he had not used his hand to block the impact, it would have shattered under the force of the blow. As the fight intensifies, Ogre appears more dangerous than ever while determined to finish him off. Struggling to his feet, Kalli observes that his opponent is also reaching his limits. For the first time, Ogre finds himself moving with such intensity, something he has never experienced before. As his previous battles ended swiftly, now completely exhausted and visibly weakened, he begins to falter. Kalli, understanding that strength is finite for everyone, recognizes that even the strongest can succumb to fatigue. Ogre's time is nearing its end. Kalli realizes this is his final chance as Ogre appears visibly tired. Determined to risk everything, Kalli delivers a massive blow to Ogre's chest. The monster feels breathless, and Kalli immediately follows with another punch. However, he soon realizes his wrist is dislocated from the powerful strike he landed on Ogre's unprotected jaw. Ogre staggers, but Kalli continues his relentless assault. Jumping high, he brings his fist down onto Ogre's neck. Water spills from Ogre's mouth, his eyes roll back, and his massive body collapses to the ground. The crowd is stunned and unable to believe that the powerful contender, with Ogre now collapsed, our boy secures his victory. His friends cheer with joy and celebrate his triumph. But then, something unexpected happens. Ogre's eyes open, and the monster, despite his injuries, stands again. Our dude is shocked as Ogre regains some strength and delivers a devastating punch. Ogre initially tries to kill him, but then pushes him like a football with his paw. Kalli is sent flying through the air before crashing to the ground. The sound of a crack echoes, and his companions shout and protest while claiming it is a foul. However, another reminds everyone that this is an execution match. Kalli, still in shock, watches as Ogre grows more furious. He cannot comprehend how the monster moves with such speed after sustaining so many injuries. Meanwhile, Kalli himself is weakened from his own injuries and his body struggling to keep up. At last, Ogre lands a final punch while sending Kalli crashing to the ground. The monster stands tall, reveling in his perceived victory while Kalli screams in pain. Ogre grabs him by the neck while tightening his grip and lifting him high into the air. Kalli feels breathless while realizing this is no longer a boxing match, but an act of murder. Kalli hangs helplessly in the air while trapped in Ogre's grip and struggling to break free while pleading for release. Ogre grows even more furious, but suddenly Kalli bites down on his ear while ripping it off. The monster lets go and Kalli crashes to the ground. Blood flows from his mouth due to his barbaric act, but he is surprised to see that Ogre's blood is not green like typical Ogre. He realizes it is red, just like a human's. Ogre, while enraged beyond control, decides to kill him once and for all. Sitting in the corner of the ring, Kalli quickly strikes back while delivering a powerful blow that sends sand into Ogre's eyes. He observes that although Ogre possesses immense strength, his body does not react to pain despite cracked bones and a twisted stomach. Seizing the opportunity, Kalli drives his knee into Ogre's nose with force. Meanwhile, Duke Wesley watches intently while realizing this fight is no longer between a beast and a man, but between a beast and the best boxer. He hopes for Kalli's victory. The crowd, now inspired by his determination, begins to support him wholeheartedly. The stadium erupts with chants of his name as everyone rallies behind him while encouraging him to win. With newfound strength, Kalli lands a powerful punch on Ogre's mouth while causing blood to spill as the monster collapses to the ground. In that moment, Ogre himself realizes his defeat and remains motionless. Exhausted but victorious, Kalli feels relief and pride after triumphant over such a formidable opponent. The entire stadium echoes with his name while celebrating his victory. Then Baron Dorman stands in shock, unable to believe Ogre's defeat. As Kalli prepares to leave, Count Joseph's soldiers intervene while demanding that his execution continue. Smiling, Kalli understands that the battle might be over, but his fight is not. However, the crowd turns against the soldiers while throwing stones and demanding mercy for the victorious boxer. They accuse them of cowardice and insist that he be set free. Seeing the public's overwhelming support, the soldiers themselves hesitate, wanting to let him live. Count Joseph, while observing the chaos, seeks an explanation, but Duke Wesley intervenes while urging him to spare Kalli's life. He explains that during the Harvest Festival, it is crucial to win the sentiments and emotions of the people. Killing Kalli now would ruin the festival's purpose. After much contemplation, Count Joseph realizes that denying this request could lead to political trouble with Duke Wesley. Reluctantly, he allows Kalli to go free. As he leaves, Count Joseph silently vows revenge, determined not to forgive the ageist family and planning to destroy them in the future, his frustration growing as the boxer walks away triumphant. The doctor and Nixar discuss Kalli's condition, with the doctor expressing that his survival is nothing short of a miracle. Despite having such a fragile body, he has managed to endure, which the doctor attributes to his remarkable willpower. As the conversation continues, the doctor brings up the matter of hospital bills for Kalli's treatment. Nixar curses that Baron Gadoff has not yet paid for the medical expenses, which deeply disappoints him. At that moment, Azealia arrives and offers to cover the costs with her earring. She hands it to Nixar and asks if it would be enough for Kalli's treatment. The doctor examines it and agrees to proceed, relieved that the payment issue is resolved. Suddenly Kalli starts coughing and blood escapes from his mouth. He looks at Azealia and weakly asks about the outcome of the fight. She reassures him that his death sentence has been overturned by the court, as the people have demanded for him to live. Azealia also tells Kalli that he has earned this victory through his sheer willpower, and he feels relieved to have survived. A sense of calm washes over him as he finally begins to relax while knowing that he is still alive. A week passes and it is a pleasant day. Kalli remains covered in bandages on his hands and legs when Kijo arrives to visit him. With excitement, Kijo declares him the hero of the Harvest Festival and proudly gives him the title of Ogre Slayer. Although the name feels cheap to Kalli and he finds it irritating, Kijo informs him that everyone has already embraced it. Despite his annoyance, he realizes that the title has spread far and wide. Torres also visits and remarks that Kalli is lucky to have won the match, but Kalli quickly asks him to stay quiet while reminding him that he was nearly dead. The doctor, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to Amazing Apai. Subscribing makes sure you do not miss the next video, and it gives me motivation to keep improving the quality of every upload. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.